Princess of Thieves. The adventure behind the adventure.
Action!
Greetings from Romania.
5 weeks in Romania.
Well, it wasn't just wild dogs on the set.
5 weeks.
There are wild dogs all over Bucharest. The food in Romania is very interesting.
Liver and bacon stew.
Oh my God.
Welcome to downtown Romania. Here we are making Princess of Thieves. And boy, are we having fun.
It's always really been a dream of mine to do a period piece and an action, kind of an old-fashioned swashbuckling story with sword fighting and horse action, and this was the opportunity to do that, and it's a lot of fun.
Wish for a thief, you'll get one.
You've stolen my venison back!
Making any movie is an adventure, and I think for those of us who are lucky enough to go off to an exotic location and spend a couple of months telling a story and shooting a movie, it's a great adventure in itself. That, I think, is compounded by going to a place that's culturally different. And Romania is a very, very interesting country. We went to Romania for two reasons, really. The first was the cost involved, and the second were the locations that were offered to us. Fortunately, we found a studio just outside of Bucharest called Castel Studio, which is about 40 minutes outside of the city, that had 3 sound stages and also had a standing castle set. And although we modified the set somewhat, we were able to use it.
We started with a field. It was quite uneven. It had grass. We cut the grass. We got in a bulldozer to level the field. We brought in earth to make hills where we wanted hills. And we started building. The backlot set we've done has to work for 2 sets, so we actually have to, we will change it between 2 villages. We'll dress it to make it look different, and the idea is to move a house as well. And shoot it from such an angle so that you can't tell it's the same.
We have a wonderful cast. We have really an ensemble British cast. Malcolm McDowell plays the Sheriff of Nottingham. Jonathan Hyde plays Prince John. Stuart Wilson plays Robin Hood. And we have Gwyn, actually, is being played by Keira Knightley, who I think is going to be a big, big star.
Lower your bow. You're outnumbered.
When I first found out that she was 15, I was thinking, oh my God, they're getting a 15-year-old in to do this part, and I thought, it's not going to work. And when I met her, I couldn't believe she was 15 for a start, and she's so smart and intelligent and knows exactly what she's doing.
Frederick told me what he said to you. I'm not betrothed to him, or anyone.
It's illegal to even properly kiss somebody who's 15. And one of the funniest things on set was everybody would kind of come up and say, God, she's beautiful.
It's the lighting.
Who is that girl? And I said, well, she's Keira. She's taking a break from school to work on film. School? How old is she? And I'd invariably say 15. And everybody would say, when's she 16? And I'd say, March. But no, she was beautiful, and she's a very good actress, and it was great fun to work with her. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The extras were all Romanian, some of whom were gypsies, and if you look very carefully at the movie, you'll see, although we tried to place them in the back, that there are some faces that don't exactly look English.
Rude.
We banded together very quickly and in a serious bonding kind of way.
One big happy family, and listen, when you're out in a foreign country, and then it's you get to know each other very well, very fast.
I think that happens on any film set, but usually it's 100 people or more, all of whom speak the same language.
Action!
But in this situation, we were a small group of, I think, 16 or 17 people who spoke English in a country where no one else did, and so we really did bond and stay together.
How come I'm the only one with curls like Maggie Thatcher? Is there any reason for that?
The first week we arrived in Bucharest, of course, one of the first things we needed to do were to scout locations. And I asked it rather innocently, do you have a helicopter? And they said, yes, of course, what a great idea. Let's meet tomorrow, we'll have a helicopter, and we'll go from one place to another. They pick us up in 3 cars at the hotel, 7 o'clock in the morning, and we pile into the cars. We were 4 Brits and 4 Romanians, and I realized we're not going to the airport. We're going to some field someplace a half hour away from the hotel. And as we arrive, they tell us they couldn't get a helicopter, and they were very sorry, but they were able to get a plane. And they were very excited about this plane we were to use. It turns out to be a 1950s Russian plane that they had sitting in this field. The Romanians, of course, were all very happy to go on this plane ride. The Brits took one look at the plane and said, "We have families at home, we're not getting on this plane."
He's saying that the grey horse frightened this one, and I'm saying it's what we've done all morning.
We did have a problem with the horses.
In England, I was riding little, going like this. Here, they are massive, unbelievable.
We were expecting movie horses, which are horses who are, that are trained to do what you need them to do on cue. These were beautiful horses, some of the most magnificent horses I've ever worked with in a movie, but they're not trained at all. They're actually a very specific breed of horse that they have in Romania, and it's a cross between a thoroughbred and an Arabian. But they're so high-spirited and so difficult to ride that they had to be ridden by professional riders. And if you see in the background of our movie, there may be some difference too between the foreground horses and the background horses, because the background horses were so difficult to ride. There are wild dogs all over Bucharest. They're not owned by anyone. They don't have shots of any kind. They're not registered in any way. And it's difficult to walk around the streets of Bucharest without being very aware of these wild dogs. In fact, I was told about it before I went there, and I suggested to our line producer that he bring rabies vaccinations with him in case anyone was bitten. He laughed and said, "That's ridiculous. Don't be silly. We're not bringing any." As it turned out, he was the only one who was actually bitten by a dog and needed the rabies vaccine. And fortunately, we were able to get it, and he was fine. But he had to go through a long series of injections, which is not pleasant.
We've had it up to here.
The food in Romania is very interesting, actually. It's not at all what we're used to on film sets in this country. American crews are used to eating constantly. Every hour on the hour, something new and interesting and wonderful is brought onto the set. Between meals, you're lucky if you get an apple. The meals are actually very large and very good. There's a lot of schnitzel and a lot of cabbage and a lot of potatoes and a lot of things that you would expect in Eastern Europe. But the food is okay. It really is okay. You just have to adjust for the cultural differences. I would go back. I enjoyed the experience, and I think the process was really interesting and a lot of fun.